So it's like a jillion degrees out in the garden, and we're taking a coffee break, which isn't feeling as good of an idea as it did when I was making this coffee in the 70-degree kitchen.
It is like a jillion degrees out here.
There's a photographer coming tomorrow for 501 magazine. They're doing a spread on our garden. And so we're out here trying to make her look her best. And the heat is really like taking a toll on the garden. It's hard for plants to thrive when it's 100 degrees in the day. And this is typical, like this happens every year. This has been a difficult gardening year, but even on the good years when the garden does amazing, by mid-July is when it really starts struggling, and a lot of things are wiped out by August. So it is what it is. Just enjoying the bounty while it's still coming in.
Look at her looking her best.
Yep. Kitten George is hunting something underneath the okra plants. Hey KG, what's up, man? Hey kitty kitty. Hey, handsome man. I think he missed me when I was gone for a few days, because every time I come down the garden, he just beelines for me. One of the things that we get asked about the most, having this huge garden, is how we water it. We water our garden by hand, which looks like a lot of this. Currently our entire garden is about 10,000 square feet fenced in, but only like 2,200 square feet of planting space in the raised beds. To hand water it takes about 2 hours to really do it thoroughly, and that has to be done when it's really hot and dry like this, sometimes every other day. Look what I just saw. Wow, that guy got missed. Hold on, KG, excuse us. Whoa. Jeremiah did his best keeping up with everything while I was gone, and understandably, it's a lot. Kids farm, he did YouTube, and he harvested the garden. He got all the tomatoes, he got all the cherry tomatoes, he got a lot of the okra, and kept up with a lot of it. However, some things that I knew to check, but I don't think he realized were producing yet, they got a little carried away. And I just found this Armenian white cucumber. The cool thing about these is, though, that they actually stay relatively nice. And this will actually still be edible. Now I'll be making pickles out of it, but as far as like peeling it and then just cutting it up into little slices and eating it with some salt on it, the kids will actually eat fresh cucumber that way. So this is probably almost a 2-pound cucumber. Nuts. Now a few of these cucumbers got really way too big. These are just the Dar pickling cucumbers, and the skins have gotten really tough. The seeds are really big, and I've thrown one of them to the chickens. They were eating it. I wasn't sure if they would. Give them another one, and then we'll give those other few to the pigs. Now back to hand watering. As I hand water, this is the first time I've ever made a video about watering. I haven't had to do just a ton of watering this year because we've had a lot of rain, and because of the fact that it is such a time-consuming task. If there is rain in the forecast, a lot of times like I'll hold off and see if the rain's gonna come, and if it does, then I don't water that day. But inevitably there will be hot days, especially getting into like July and August, where a lot of watering is required because there's just simply not enough rain to offset the amount of heat and how much water the plants need. I was actually surprised at your surprise when I told you that I hand water. Everyone just assumed with this big garden that we would have irrigation, but the thing is that like we actually kind of built our garden as a step of faith with a lot of reclaimed materials, and a lot of things fell into place for us to be able to make it this big. So this isn't like an expression of the fact that we just had a lot of extra money to put together a big garden like this. And the things like the reclaimed wood and the reclaimed tin and the cattle panels for trellises, those were all really like cool things, yes, but they were done entirely out of necessity because we built our garden on a budget. So irrigation was just not in the realm of possibility for us. Now we just fixed our well, and the plan is that we're running faucets throughout the farm and areas where we can make water more accessible to different places, and the garden's one of them. But, you know, we're halfway through the growing season. I don't know how much we're gonna actually get to enjoy the benefit of that this year. However, when it comes to hand watering, I can say one thing, and I'm not trying to make it like super deep or like more serious than it is, but I have a little bit of a theory. I think it's really good for us, like mentally and spiritually, to do things that keep our hands busy and our bodies busy while our minds are free. Like, watering the garden is a pretty mindless task. However, it is one of my favorite times to like slow down and not be so caught up in a busy to-do list. So many people are used to sitting idly while scrolling social media and staring at a screen. And you just honestly would not think twice about sitting down and looking at a screen for 2 hours. But to walk around the garden and sweat and move and pull hoses and water the garden while taking 2 hours to pray, or like I listen to sermons, I listen to podcasts, that for some reason is just unheard of. And I don't know why that is, because for me, this task is very good for me. Sweet Maya is tying up tomato plants. He's listening to a podcast right now, so he can't hear me talking about him. The ideal way to water tomato plants is with a soaker hose just put along the bottom of the plants, because you don't want to water the foliage of tomato plants. Creates humidity and can transfer like fungal and bacterial infection in the plant. And so it's good to water them at the base, and they like long watering. Now, like 30 seconds is base minimum. Like if you've got like a really high pressure hose standing there for 30 seconds, that's what I'll do every couple of days, and that does okay in an area where we get a lot of rain. But if the only watering that your plants are getting, like if you live in a really dry area, you might even want to give them a couple of minutes each of just a direct flow. But truly, like a soaker hose or drip tape is ideal as far as these go. In years past, I've had soaker hoses along the base of my plants. This year, my hoses hadn't gotten dry rot, and so I didn't put them down. And honestly, it hasn't made a huge difference because it's rained so much. But in watering them, I do 30 seconds a plant. That's probably on the skimpy side. Oh man, I'm finally done with that. Now it's time to go get some eggs out of the coop. You coming, KG? The new girls have adjusted well, I think. They're getting used to us. Hey, pretty lady. One bummer about having a bunch of chickens that look like each other is that I can't name them. Like, I love giving my chickens names. I love naming my animals funny things. I don't know if you picked up on that. But, so I'm trying to think of a really good, like, collective name. Like, we used to have the Randys, and at one time I had the Ethels, which was 5 chickens that looked alike. And so I'm trying to think of, like, a collective name for all my hens. And I'm open to suggestions if you have any names you want to throw down in the comments that maybe I can name my hens the, you know, whatever we decide on. Wow, they picked that cute clean. They didn't think much of the tough skin either, though, it looks like. Did you like it? This is not the ideal basket for egg collections. It's pretty huge, but it's the one I brought down here, so. Nice lot of eggs. This broody hen. Oh, I'm so scared of broody hens. She's actually relatively nice as far as broodies go, but still don't fancy sticking my hand in there with her. I know that. Oh, she's sitting on a fake egg. Alright, well, have at it, girlfriend. You can have that one. I don't trust you. What are your intentions at this coop? Are you just following me? Are you being sweet or mischievous? Listen to the chorus in the trees. Sweet Maya, so sweet. I guess that's kind of the point of that name. Yeah, this basket is way too big. I figured we could go say hi to the alpaca boys while it's still light enough out here. Hey, Gaby boy. Hey, little handsome. Hey, little handsome. What's up? What's up, guy? You're getting so big. Y'all, look at the way this puppy smiles. Is that the cutest thing? He's getting so big. What is George doing? Did you make a bad choice, man? I can always hear when his meow like starts getting really concerned. Oh, George, honey. Okay, well, come on. I asked him if he wanted to come when I closed the gate, and he just stared at me like he didn't even speak English or something. When our friends from Keto Country Homestead came for the shindig in April and they brought the puppies, which Gabe was a part of that litter, Tobias, my son, our middle son, so wanted one of these puppies. Well, Maya is actually the one who decided to get a puppy. I actually was not going to say yes to it, but Maya ended up saying yes. And he made the deal with Toby. He can be half your puppy and half the family's puppy. Because that's how we do it. Like, Bear is half my puppy and half the family's puppy. And Con is half Daddy's puppy and half the family's puppy. And Gabe is half Toby's puppy. And the deal was that if Toby takes care of Gabe, he can be half his puppy. And seriously, Toby has shown so much responsibility in caring for Gabe. And he is truly having such a heavy hand in Gabe becoming a good dog. Gabe does live out with the goats. He's a livestock guardian dog. That is his purpose. And we've introduced him to the alpacas. He's with the goats now because they're very assertive and they won't tolerate him misbehaving with them. And we put Bear out there. Bear teaches Gabe manners. We work on training with him. He's doing fantastic. Obviously, he's a baby. He's not actually considered a viable livestock guardian until he's 2, because at this point, predators are still really a threat to him because he's a baby. So he's up with the goats right by our house. He's not really doing any protecting. He's just learning. But Toby comes out every day. He brushes him. He's the one who feeds him, checks that he has water, and you know, spends a lot of time with him. He takes him out of the goat yard and carries him around the farm and lets him follow him. And I'm really, really proud of Toby at only 7 to be showing that kind of responsibility. Hey, Manny. Hey, little stinker. Oh, he's gotta go check out George. Like, why am I not as intriguing as the cat? I just want to know. Like, what does George have that I don't have here? Hey, stinker. Stinker. Manny. The alpacas have fans in their barns. The boys have their temporary barn. The girls have their barn. And they have fans in there to keep the air moving. And it is, honestly, probably at least 15 degrees cooler in their barn than it is out here. And because obviously, like, they're wearing pretty heavy coats, even though they're sheared. And another thing that we do for them, which we were taught by our alpaca mentors, where our alpacas came from, is to spray off their undercarriages. You don't want to spray off their whole body because the water will be retained in their coats and cause steam and can cause them to overheat. They really like having their belly sprayed off, and it's really funny. We'll have to show you guys when we do that sometime. I just want them to love me so much. Hey, you are so handsome. Isn't he just so handsome? My friend Amanda and I love naming animals. Like, she has goats, and like has this whole like literary theme going on with her goats. And I've done a few different themes. I have a lot of animals, so you know, I get to come up with a lot of different names. But I've been really considering my first year of having alpaca crias, the babies, which, mind you, is a long way from now. They're pregnant for a year. We're not going to breed them until like this fall and following into the spring. So I've got a long time before this is a real thing. But I'm thinking that I may go with like a Friends theme and have like all the babies that are born that year have names from the show Friends. Like, I would love to have an alpaca and be like, hey, Chandler Bing, come here. Oh. I'm seriously cracking myself up over this. It's like a year and a half away. And here's Bill at his constant place Bill stands here by the fence and looks at the girl alpacas over there all day, every day. He'll go to bed when it gets dark. Like, he's literally worn the grass down right here because he just stands here and paces back and forth and looks at the ladies. It's actually kind of sad. What are you doing, KG? Kitten George, are you enjoying this? I think he is. Are you tormenting the alpacas? Did you just win that, KG? Oh, stinker. You're so cute. Boomer and Tinder are back there in the back and they're like, we got you, man. George, now you're just being cocky. What is this? I did have big plans for alpaca snuggle fests whenever they moved here. It took like months and months for my goats to actually warm up to me. And now, like, I have goats that will quite literally like get in my lap if I would let them, because we're just out there a lot and they get used to you. They get used to being fed by you. Honestly, with my girl goats, my does, being in their, like when they're giving birth, like they know and they really will bond to you whenever you're there for stuff like that. Like the ones who have kidded here that I've been in with them multiple times, they're so warm to me. And then of course milking, you like create a sense of security by that. So I didn't expect for the alpacas to be super warm right off the bat. They're warming up, they're getting a lot more comfortable, but I think they may be like the hipsters of farm animals. For real, like they're very much like, they're warm to you on their terms. They're very inquisitive, but kind of aloof, and they have really swoopy front hair. I'm telling you, they're hipsters. You know what? I'm gonna ruin your hipster reputation, Manny. You did not love Kitten George before he was cool. YouTube loved him first. I'm actually gonna shoot a garden tour in the morning since we're getting the garden all pretty for the magazine piece anyway. I'm gonna go ahead and take you guys through it in the morning. So I didn't harvest very much this evening. I just picked a few things that like really needed to be picked. This is a Cherokee Rose tomato. This is the one I was telling you guys about that was developed by Brad Gates of Wild Boar Farms off of a mutation from the Cherokee Purple, and it has matte skin. So it looks sort of weird, I think, on the camera. The coloration is just a little strange, but if you can see that it has like no shine to the skin, it's almost slightly fuzzy like a peach. And here are a couple of Kellogg's breakfast tomatoes that I just noticed were hanging kind of low. Well, I've got probably 15 or 20 minutes of light left, and the temperature has finally broken some. It was so hot today. It was like 100 degrees. And so I am going to utilize this last bit of time to help Sweet Maya tie up these tomatoes and get ready for our garden tour in the morning and for the magazine photographer to come tomorrow. I never dreamed when we started all of this that it would be where it is now. But I will tell you, it has given me permission to dream even bigger. So thank you guys for hanging out with me today. God bless you. Until next time.